It never ceases to amaze me how many ways bases can be 3-starred. Today we've got 2 replays, both from a war from between Exodius Elite and China Rush, using combinations of Golems, Witches, Hogs and even Loons in the one raid. Same format as usual, music first, strategy second. One of the great things about Clash is just the complexity of the game, and as a result of the complexity there's just so many different types of raid types that work, and as people experiment with the game they discover new forms of attack and defense. And this is, I think, a just fantastic example of just taking the witch strategy, which I think I posted a couple of replays ago, and tweaking that so it's much more effective. And what I love about this is the adjustments they make just make the strategy a whole lot more robust. So we've got 2 replays today, and the reason why I'm doing 2 replays is I think it better shows what's critical to make the strategy work and what's not, because you can compare the 2 replays and see the differences, and you can sort of see what's common between them, because they're probably the things that matter, and what's not common between them, and they're the things that don't matter so much. So firstly, let's have a look at the base. So you've got a base here with a perimeter where the buildings are right against the edge, and what that allows is cheap picking off of the buildings with minions and the like to sort of start the raid, so you can direct the troops the right way. In terms of the base, it's a very, very typical sort of dragon flower type base, I think these are called. So with in each of the corners all the splash damage, because you know, as you know, with witches the things you've got to watch are the infernos, the mortars, the wizard towers, and the giant bombs. So in this sort of setup, and this is common to many bases at the moment, you've got all the splash concentrated in the corners. You've got 4 giant bombs in these sections and 1 giant bomb in the middle, and the giant bombs here. So I think we've got 2 Teslas, a giant bomb here, a Tesla here, and a Tesla here. So that's sort of the basic layout of the base. Now let's have a look at the strategy. So what they do is they'll drop the golem to draw fire off the queen. So firstly they'll clear out some side stuff, so the troops will go sort of straight into the walls with minions. Then they'll drop a golem to draw fire, and the queen will take out the splash damage early. Then they'll open up the pocket, jump in here, and they'll send a whole lot of wizards in here. Now, I don't know if this is common between the replays yet, but I think it's not necessarily a coincidence that they're actually trying to take the heroes fairly shallow rather than under the inferno fire, because I think by taking the hero shallow, if they approach from this side, well, firstly they hit the giant bomb here, but if they approach from this side, the heroes might jump the wall, and that might draw all the skeletons in here. If they draw the skeletons in here, I'm not sure, but maybe the Inferno will start targeting some of the witches and the like through here. So we'll have to see more of these to see whether that's a common thing, but they're killing the heroes fairly early. So in terms of also other things to look at and around the way they tackle this base, you'll notice that the way they navigate the witches, like in the pure witch replay, is they avoid the double bombs. So you'll see a jump spell here. I think the golem will pass through here and set up one double bomb, 1 giant bomb. The king goes through this pocket, but this giant bomb doesn't get set off. A hog sets up off this one, and this one's just sort of triggered at the end and triggered at the end. So you can see that the giant bombs, the witches are doing most of the damage of the base before even encountering any giant bombs in the replay. So that's the first base we're looking at. So now look at the second base. Same, very similar, and there's a lot of bases like this around, Dragonflower style. You can see, didn't mention this at the first base. The first base was a 4-pocket middle. This is a 5-pocket middle, but still, you'll notice on both bases, most of the pockets can be opened with 1 jump, and if in the first base, the pocket that couldn't be opened with a jump just had the air sweeper in it. Now you've got giant bombs here, here, and here. You've got the same format as before with the splash damage, with all the splash damage concentrated in the corners, and the infernos, tip as always in the middle. Interestingly, okay, the hero position just at the side here. I guess that says the hero position doesn't matter so much. Looking at the 2 raids, but in terms of common features, you can see cornered splash damage, sort of giant bombs in the usual locations, and I think it's got 1 giant bomb here. And again, they approach from the side with the giant bombs at the far side of the base, so I guess they can do most of the damage to the base before hitting the giant bomb. So I think the best way to talk through these raids is to do it step by step, and so what I've done is I've divided it into a bunch of sections. So I'm going to look at how people start the raid and how they approach the first corner. Then I'll look at the king corner, the hog corner, how they manage the middle of the base, and then how they manage the back end of the raid, just to make it a bit step by step, so it's something you can look to copy. So at the start, just firstly, let's have a look at the combination. So in the first stage of the raid, they've got 8 minions, and that's really to clear off some perimeter buildings all around here. And they're pretty free because you've got a wide perimeter buildings where they're not covered by air fire. And I guess what that does is make sure that the king goes straight and the witches go straight into the base rather than run sideways. You'll also notice you've got a golem for the first part. They drop they drop the queen, and they also use a minion here to take out probably some of the clan castle troops, just to sort of clean them up more quickly. So let's have a look at the raid. So first, picking off a bunch of minions just to sort of clear lots of the perimeter. And by clearing the perimeter, again, we're saying that it'll drive the troops straight. Then they'll drop the queen. The queen's sort of clearing things up. And they'll drop 2 golems to make sure the queen doesn't take any fire. So just like a sort of typical hybrid on a lava loon raid, where the golems are taking the fire off the queen. Actually, I'll pause that there, this is important. So you'll notice, look at the way they open the pocket in terms of the wall breakers. So we're moving back. So you'll notice when they drop the wall breakers, they drop the wall breakers as soon as the mortar goes down, the wall breaker gets dropped straight away. And that way they don't target over here, they target between the golems. And then that way both the golems will flow through nicely through here while the queen's clearing out this pocket. Then they drop 2 witches. I don't know why they didn't drop all the witches at once. So once it's open, so you've got 2 witches, and then they drop a heap more witches here. So they drop the jump around here. And so they're interesting. So they've chosen to open up, rather than just the center pocket there, they've chosen to open up 2 pockets there. Now that golem is targeting that AD from when it was triggered. So that golem will walk all the way around here and go to the AD and take out the AD. And so when the hogs hit, the hogs will pass nice and cleanly through there, and then therefore take out those 5 defense buildings, because with opening that pocket, the golem is going to target the air defense. And so, really clever piece of attack design there. So you can see all the witches come. They've dumped, I think it was 9 witches. So it's interesting to count the witch numbers. So 9 witches is obviously enough to take down an inferno. And you can see, now also you'll notice here, I don't know if there's a pattern between the raids, but you'll notice they use the queen ability early. So use the queen ability early, and I guess that what has the effect of doing is taking down the king and queen very early, and that means the golem's got enough left to actually take down the AD here, and that way the hogs path nicely. If it had been late with the queen ability, then wouldn't have taken down both heroes as quickly. That golem wouldn't have made it to here because it would have went under more queen fire, and the hogs would have maybe passed through here, and then back. So whether that would have worked as well, I'm not sure. But they've designed the attack so that AD goes down and the hogs path nicely through here. Now you have a look at this raid, slightly different combination. You'll notice this raid, they're not carrying any balloons, not carrying any giants. So two less balloons is 10 troops, 1 less giant, so that's another 15. I think they've got one less hog, so that's 20 troops, and without the minions that gets you to 30. And what they do is they use that extra 30 troops to carry 3 golems, not 2, because they've got a golem in the CC. In terms of the actual raid structure, very, very similar structure. You can see what they do is take out the splash damage in one corner. They also at the start they'll clear some of the perimeter of the base. So the start of this raid looks very, very similar to a lava loon hybrid. And you'll notice what they do here is they'll come through here and take out all these defences. So there's no point worrying about the air defences. They're not going to do any damage, but they will target the hybrid at taking out these defences and then coming through to the inferno in that first part of the raid. So let's have a look. So I'm dropping a minion here to make the king go straight, and that minion will take out those 2. Then dropping sort of 2 golems and the queen to start clearing this out. We'll drop some wall breakers here to open up this pocket, but you can see the queen takes out the splash damage, takes out the splash, and when the splash is gone, drop all the witches, and they will rush through to here. And with that jump spell, they'll run straight through, take out the cannon of the tunnel. You can see they cleared out all this damage really, really early with the hybrid part with the queen, just leaving the queen and the witches and all the skeletons to take down the CC. Now, one of the great things about having the golems here is the clan castle, if you time it right, is going to focus on the golems, and meanwhile, the queen can take out the dragon, and the other clan castle troops, queen and skeletons, can clear all the clan castle troops, while the witches are happily pumping out new skeletons in the background. So you can see just a beautiful sort of base targeting, in terms of targeting the attack to take out all the damage producing buildings early, and the golems have the effect of luring the CC, drawing that damage so the queen and the skeletons can mop up the clan castle troops. Now let's look at the king. Firstly, I want to just say, okay, which corner do you pick with the king? And I think a common thing around the raids is you'll notice that the hog corner is far away from the infernos, because if infernos get triggered onto the hogs, well, they're going to chew up hogs, but also the heal won't work. So the hog corner is miles away from the inferno range, so the king's going to come in from this corner. You'll notice a couple of things about this. The king is not going to, they're going to drop the king, so it passes through and takes out all the damage producing buildings, including this corner with splash damage, so it doesn't start dropping mortar shells in the middle as the skeletons and the witches come through here. So timing wise, it's got to be early enough that mortar can't do damage on the wizards, and they're going to try and path the king so it just takes out the damage producing buildings and doesn't worry about the air defense. And the critical thing in this, you have a look, so when they drop the jump, drop it so the king is going to come through here sideways rather than over the wall here, and that means the king's going to pass through all through here, and the king, as it turns out, with its king ability, manages to get all the way through here and kill this section of the base, and even goes on through the remainder of the raid. Whereas if it had taken out the air defense in the middle, probably taken it off fire, wouldn't have taken out all the damage producing buildings in that part of the base. And the second version of the raid, using the king, what they've done is again use the building to take out sort of 5 defensive buildings. So they've targeted between the air defences to take out that rung of buildings, but they're using a golem and a king, and by doing that it gives extra firepower to also take out a Tesla, which is here, and the archer tower that's here, as well as the air sweeper, which is not going to do any damage. But I guess taking out the Tesla might be a very relevant thing, because that Tesla, if the witches pass through here, that Tesla could have been hitting the witches side on, might have taken out some witches, might have hurt the raid. So I think that might have been critical to catch to converting this base. The second thing also, in terms of the timing, again they use the king to take down the mortar and the wizard tower before the mortar and the wizard tower can inflict any damage on the witches. So I think that's a critical part of the raid, is to take down the splash damage before witches get in range of it. So let's have a look at the execution. So you drop the mortar, drop the wall breakers after, so that it wasn't targeted by the splash damage because they were already targeting the golem. King comes through, routes through here. You can see it will jump. They'll use probably the king ability fairly late, just taking out the buildings. Oh no, he's used the king ability very early there actually, hasn't he? Maybe it's a timing thing, but you would have thought the king ability could have waited a bit longer there. But you can see he's taken it with the golem. He's taken out all of this section of the base, and early enough that the witches didn't get any splash damage. It also takes out the Tesla, so the Tesla was targeting the king and didn't target the witches at all, but the Tesla probably would have focused on the golems. So in the first raid we used the giant and 9 hogs, and you'll notice in the next raid they just and a heal, and you'll notice in the next raid they just use 8 hogs and achieve pretty much the same result. The reason for the difference you'll see is they lose 3 hogs to a spring trap here. So what basically they do is they drop the 9 hogs in 2 bunches that takes out these 2 defences here. They pass through here, and you can see what they're doing is they're targeting the hogs that are taking out another perimeter section of the base. Basically you've got to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings, plus your air sweeper, which is sort of basically useless because it doesn't do damage. and so that with that they're using, what's that, 9, so they're using sort of 50 troop points sort of to take out this area of the base in one spell. So let's just have a look. See the hogs pathing through here. The reason they needed so many hogs is because they lose the 3 hogs to the spring. Boom, there go 3. But you can see by dropping the giant early, the hogs didn't take any fire, and therefore they could drop the heel a bit deeper, and therefore the heel is keeping these hogs alive all through here, and therefore the hogs will make it through to the cannon. So it looks like about 8 or 9 hogs is what's required to take out a section of the base. So looking at the hog component of the second raid, you can see they'll drop the hogs to come through here, and by dropping them here, they'll path through here and take out this section of the base. And they'll just use 1 heel here. Only 8 hogs this time because they don't hit a spring trap. So you'll see drop the 8 hogs and a bit of a run over here. But the idea is to take out this corner of splash damage so that doesn't impact the witches on the way through. So you can see the heel is keeping them all alive here. Had to drop the heel early actually here so that they'll survive the double bomb. But they're also taking out the crossbow here as well. So that's actually that. No, they should actually get the bow as well. That's taking out the bow as well in the centre of the base. So that helps the witch's path straight through the base. Now let's look at how they run the witches through the centre part of the base. There are 2 things I want you to note here. One is the jump is dropped fairly close to the middle of the base, and you'll notice it sets up a fairly straight path between the infernos. The second thing I want you to notice is the freeze timing. I find that they drop the freeze just as the second inferno engages, and I think that's to help if you've got the witches fighting 2 infernos at once, it's going to be a whole lot harder. So the idea is as soon as the second inferno engages on the skeletons, they freeze the first inferno, so you're only dealing with 5 beams at once. Otherwise you might not have enough witches to take down both infernos at once. So let's just have a look. You can see here, so the jump right in the middle creates a fairly straight path between the infernos, and as soon as the second inferno is engaged, they put the freeze on that first inferno, and you can see that way the witches seem to take down. That inferno is almost gone by the time it emerges from the freeze, and that way you've got enough witches to take down that second inferno. If they're doing both at once, it might not work. Now the second raid's different, and I think maybe it's because of the dragon CC, because the dragon with doing splash damage is going to chew up a lot of skeletons. So you'll notice here that as the witches sort of get enraged with the inferno, it's frozen straight away, and they freeze all of here, and I think that's so the witches aren't fighting the dragon and the first inferno at the same time. So just have a look. So the freeze is a bit earlier here, so they've frozen it here. You can see that way the skeletons are coming through on the inferno and take down a lot of the inferno, and the queen takes down the dragon before it comes to life. So I think the difference there was due to the dragon, and if it had been a normal CC, you might have seen something different. Finally, for the back half of the raid, I just want to focus on the first replay, because the second replay basically just the troops come through and there's no actual things to sort of tweak the end of the wave. The sort of queen works its way through and there's enough witches to finish off the base. But what's interesting about this is in this first replay they actually use 2 balloons to take down the splash damage, and have a look at how they do it. So the first, you can see they've dropped a balloon to take down that first mortar, and because that because the air defense only sort of hits towards the end when the loon's in close with the range, that 1 balloon is enough to take down the mortar. You'll see. So it's coming through here, balloon, beautiful piece of timing here, and so before the witches get in mortar range, you can see that mortar gets taken down by that balloon. Then they drop a second balloon targeted at the whiz tower, so you can see the whiz tower is firing at the witches there. The giant bomb goes off, but you can see what they're doing here is to help the witches survive. They use 1 balloon to come in and take down that wizard tower. So a really interesting way of running the back of the base. Only 10 troops, takes out all the splash, and that therefore protects your witches, and you've got enough witches to finish off the base more easily. So look, I think that's just an amazing raid, really clever the use of the different types of troops to take down the different wings of the base. And you can see it's a really, really good raid for many bases where you've got the giant bombs spread in those sort of locations. You attack with the witches from the side of the base that's far side to the other giant bomb, and you can see if you've got like a 4-pocket middle or something like that, the base is very vulnerable to it. So just an amazing raid style, and I think this is something we'll see more and more given there's so many of these types of bases around.